started, we can generally log attendance through the computer system unless anyone is phone only. So if you are phone only, let us know if you're on. Okay, I assume everyone is on both audio as well as computer, and we'll get started. Next slide, Michelle. So first and foremost, here is the agenda for today. We'd like to welcome our new UNC-based project manager, Ann Firestein, who is on the phone. Ann, do you want to say hello and introduce yourself?
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here, and I hope that you'll be patient as I come up to speed, but I'm really looking forward to working with everyone.
Fantastic. So welcome to Ann, whose first full day was yesterday, although she has been training and learning the protocol and ropes for the last couple of weeks. Ann's role will be the UNC-based project manager, helping to seamlessly coordinate all of the moving pieces for Combine. For site-facing and site-related issues, the team at Cincinnati Children's will continue to serve as our site management and data coordinating center, so you can continue to direct all of your sort of daily operational related questions to Michelle JP and Janine, our study monitor, and Dan Jeffers, who runs the informatics and electronic data capture system, as you've been doing. And thanks again, Ann, for joining our team. Can you go back to the prior slide, Michelle, and I'll go through the rest of the agenda quickly. So we will do some brief activation and recruitment updates that Shahzad will lead. I'll go over some minor changes to the Biologics Central Pharmacy program, and then Michelle JP will conclude with some upgrades to the SharePoint site and some exciting news there, as well as give you all a preview of our in-person meeting for those of you who will be attending the ICN Community Conference later this month. So next slide, and probably two more slides to Shahzad's part. All right, take it away, Shahzad.
Thank you, Mike. As you all are aware, and we've been sharing updates on our recruitment and approach and randomization processes, we have been now up to 42 sites which have been selected. 36 have been activated as of last week. 4 have been approved by the Cincinnati IRB and are finishing other items for activation. So we'll have hopefully a full coterie by the near future. Couple of the sites are returning their documents and are reviewing contracting requirements and trainings. So far, 143 patients have been randomized as of the week before, with almost 90% of sites having recruited at least one patient. As has been the norm so far, Cincinnati is leading the pack with 13, and CHKD is just one short of that at 12, and are still leading centers for recruitment. Next slide, please. This is the graph that we have usually shared on our monthly coordinator and PI calls, as well as in the newsletter every other week. This shows recruitment per site. As you can see, almost 70 to 80% of sites have recruited the major bulk of patients, with some sites coming up behind that. Cincinnati and CHKD, along with NAS Stanford, is actually also in that leading pack group as well. So we'll probably have to sort of reflect that in our next round of sharing data opportunity. Next slide, please. We continue to appreciate and thank all sites' efforts for identification and recruitment of patients. We do recognize that we are lagging, as is evident on this cartoon. Our gap remains about 165 patients from the timeline that we should have been at this stage. To reach our recruitment goal of 425 patients, we need to randomize almost 8.5 patients per week to make that up. Current recruitment or randomization goal, based on what we are doing currently, is about 2 patients per week. So we do have a significant gap. We have, as I said, a good chunk of sites that are functioning well. And we have been learning from those sites about what are the best practices that can be replicated at other sites who seem to be lagging in their identification and approaching of the patients. Next slide, please. As we shared, the top 5 sites approaching and consenting remain Cincinnati, CHKD, Stanford, Nationwide, and Riley. As I said, I've shared 75% of sites have approached or consented a patient in the last couple of months. 20% actually not having consented anyone in the last 3 to 4 months period. So that's about the gap. 60% of the patients are eligible after pre-screening, which is evident from the logs that each site is submitting. 80% of these eligible patients are being approached. So we do have an opportunity and a gap in this where we are missing out some of the eligible patients by not approaching them. Of those who are approached, almost 1/3 of patients are being consented, which is again an opportunity for us to be sort of thinking about what we can do to ramp that up. So the goal for us is that, you know, this is a labor of love. We are all in this together. We would love and would like to hear from sites reflecting on their own sites process about what are the opportunities in identification and approaching of patients that still exist and have been untapped at each site. Next slide, please. So the question that we are asking is that, are we identifying all potentially eligible patients at each site? These are the patients who have Crohn's disease and are starting anti-TNF. We have also learned from the best practice sites that a warm handoff from the treating provider is critically important to set the stage up for a successful discussion and process of consenting and randomization. The site PI and co-investigators and coordinator can then take on the major job of talking to the patient once that handoff is successfully done by the treating provider. We are asking each site to think about how they are tracking the eligible approach and consenting patients. One of the things that we have recognized is that a lot of sites do have some processes, but they may not have a very set, a hardwired set-aside time that the team needs to track the progress on how many patients are being eligible, identified, and approached. We have shared the site-based dashboard, which will be, I think, the next slide. We would love for every site to look at their own site's numbers and reflect on that and say, does that make sense? Does that number reflect the actual initiation of anti-TNF at your site? We've already heard from one site which thought that their numbers didn't look correct as on the dashboard, and we're diving deeply into that. But again, this is an opportunity for each site to sort of get together and look at the numbers and think about what they can do to accurately reflect the processes and activities that are ongoing at their site. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is the dashboard. It's a busy dashboard. What this sort of, I'll walk you through it in a as short amount of time as possible is that the first column has the names of the sites. The second one has the date when they were activated. The next column shows about the number of eligible patients for that site for that week, how many of those eligible patients were approached, the percentage of the patients approached from the eligible patients, and how many of these were then consented, including the percentages, and then randomization off of those consented patients. We also have a consented per month and a randomized per month ratio. And the last column actually reflects the amount of time in months since the specific site has been activated. The yellow or the highlighted sites are the ones that have had staff transition happening, and one that is also not highlighted here is Phoenix, that have had some transition as well. So again, take a deep dive into these this dashboard for your own site, reflect on it, see if this accurately reflects the activity at your own center, and please reach out to us to let us know if we have the correct numbers on this dashboard, because these are actually reflecting what each site is submitting on a weekly basis. Next slide, please. This again reemphasizes our ask about how we can help your site succeed. Critically examine and reflect on the processes, review the dashboard, share ideas how to improve the recruitment at your site and how we can help you improve that process. Reach out to us to let us know if you have any specific challenges. The only way we can help is to be aware of those challenges that can exist at your site. If your site is going through staff transition, research coordinator transition, please do let us know so that we can file that away and keep that in mind when we are sort of looking at the dashboards. We have heard from several sites since our email reach out, sharing their site-specific processes and next steps, but not majority. So please do respond. Learnings from the responses have been a renewed site effort to identify the new anti-TNFs and a warm handoff. Next slide. I think I am done. Yep. Mike.
All right. Thank you, Shehzad. And so the rest of our call today is a potpourri of brief sort of FYIs and updates. The first is that our Central Pharmacy Biologics was acquired by a larger company called McKesson, and the pharmacy operations are relocating from North Carolina to Irving, Texas, which is just outside of Dallas, apparently. There really will not be any changes to phone numbers, email addresses, the ordering platform, the system of sending medications to patients. It will be sort of business as usual for all of us. Next slide. A couple things that you need to know is that the study pharmacist, Phyllis Smith, will be changing, and there will be a pair of study pharmacists taking her place, Karen Thompson and Katrina Shaw. Their information is found here, but importantly, the 1-800 phone number will remain the same if you ever need to get in touch with them. Phyllis, if any of you have been in touch with Phyllis, is still sort of involved with the company and involved with the project, and is the institutional memory and is there to train and back up Karen and Katrina as needed. Next slide. So what you need to do is for new patients who you are consenting and randomizing, make sure you communicate to them that the pharmacy, who's now operating under the name McKesson Clinical Research Services, will contact them regarding the initial shipment of medications. The caller ID phone number will show the 1-800 number on the screen rather than the 919 number that had been displayed on caller ID previously. This is not a telemarketing call. Make sure that patients and families are aware of that, but it is actually the study pharmacy trying to get in touch with them and confirm their preferred shipping address and times and all of that. And we are in the process of updating that study medication guide and that will be submitted to the IRB this week, hopefully approved relatively quickly. And that study medication guide will have the updated pharmacy contact information on it. In the meantime, feel free to use the study medication guide that you're using, and just give the patients the verbal FYI that they'll be contacted by the McKesson pharmacy rather than the biologics pharmacy with the contact information shown here. For existing patients, many of them are used to that 919 area code, and they're used to hearing Phyllis on the other end of the phone and receiving shipments from Cary, North Carolina. So just make them aware of the transition, but that it really will be business as usual. We just don't want any patients or family members caught off guard. And if you have any questions about the sort of pharmacy operations, please reach out to us. If there is any interruption or if this is not business as usual from your end, definitely let me know. They are committed to customer satisfaction, and we want them to honor that commitment to us. Next slide. All right, Michelle, JP, over to you.
Okay, thanks. Good morning, everyone. We wanted to share with you that we are doing some updates in SharePoint, trying to get it organized well for you and then communicate that out to you. And so these are just some of the updates that we're doing. We are hoping that you will start using your local, your team page on there. We are changing some of the settings to be able to do that. And so we'll be circulating some information about that to you in next week or two about ways to, what we would like you to upload there and ways to do that. So I'm going to show you some screenshots of what the site looks like now and where you can find things, because I know for some people that continues to be a problem. And we just want to make sure you are looking on the SharePoint site for the documents that are there and finding what you need. So when you get onto the SharePoint site, when you all log in, it should look like this. This front page here is the regulatory documents, and you can see that on the left-hand side. And this lists all the currently approved regulatory documents for the study. Now, since we are putting in a protocol amendment this week, some of these will be updated after that amendment is approved. And you'll know when things are updated, it says new next to it, at least for a little while. So this is the home page. This is where you can find everything that is approved through our IRB to share with people, with your patients as you're recruiting them. If you look on the left-hand side, I should point out, it says under Combine, it says Home, and then Libraries, then Study Resources, Training Documents, your team page, Calendar, Team Discussions. So this is the Study Resources section under there. If you click on Study Resources, this is going to be the section where you find a lot of the tools and forms that can help you in the study. So we have tried to organize them under subfolders. Josh Baugh is doing some extra work in the SharePoint site to make sure everything's in there, make sure the most up-to-date information's in there. We're trying to get things organized well too. So you should be able to look through this page, and then this is the bottom of that page, and find much of what you would need. The MOP is there, and also the Data Entry Users Manual, which is a really good tool as you're entering data into our ECRFs and into the ICN registry that can help you and take you step by step through the process. The lab manual is there, and then if you have questions about the Knowledge Confirmation Survey, all the information, their MOP is there as well, and as well as the PROs. So please take a look at that. Paper CRFs are there. It's a really good resource for you, a good source of information. Okay, and then if we look back over to the left-hand side, this is, if you click on training documents, you're going to find a couple of folders. And so we have the slides from the ICN Community Conference in the fall of 2017. And so after the spring of 2018 conference, I will make another folder, or Josh will, and we will put all the information from that conference there. And then this is also where we post our monthly PI coordinator progress meetings. You can find the links there as well as PDF copies of slides. And then also there now is our trainings list. And so for those of you, if you get a new staff member, which I know it happens regularly enough, this is a good resource too for you to help that new staff member in their training. We will always send out what you need for sure, but this can give you an idea as well. Okay, and then the last area I wanted to show you today is your team page. This has not been used thus far by us in the study too much. Early on, when I came on about a year ago, we thought people were supposed to be uploading stuff then, but we had not gotten to that point yet. So we are at a point where we would like you all to be uploading some documents there. And so I will be working with our monitor, Janine Dahlquist, or now she's Janine Aronow, and we will be circulating an email letting you know what we would like to be filed there, and we'll send the instructions for that, and you all can start doing that in the coming weeks. So I just wanted to point that out to you all to make sure, hopefully, that you're in there sometimes and using it, and you will hopefully be in there more often soon. And then lastly, the Spring Community Conference is coming up on April 26th through the 28th. We hope many of you or all of you will be there. I know it's hard for all of you to be there though. So we just wanted to let everyone know that we are having a session. It will be an hour long, and our session is going to be from noon until 1 on Friday the 27th. You're going to hear updates. We're going to go over some regulatory information that we think needs to be shared more, so that will be on the 27th over lunch. We will have lunch in the room there just because we're told it's a kind of a big conference space, and our conference room is going to be really far from where they're serving lunch. So we'll have a separate lunch set up there. Please keep that in mind as you're coming to this session. That'll save you a little time, and we'll be able to get a little more information out to you all because of that. And then lastly, we have our Who's Who with Combined slide that we always have. So you can always find that on the SharePoint site where I showed you. We post our PI coordinator slides and information. And this week we have added Ann Firestein since she joins us officially. We're excited to have her. And then the rest of the team, many of them who you all have been working with for a while. That's all, Mike.
Thank you, Michelle. Just a couple things to add to our meeting at the community conference. This will be a required investigator coordinator meeting. For those of you who are not able to make it in person at the community conference, we will be doing a redo of that meeting as a webinar probably the week after the community conference, and you are welcome to attend that, and that will be recorded. So if you're not able to attend the in-person meeting or the webinar, you can view the recording of the webinar, and we will count attendance for that, but that will be a required meeting. As Michelle mentioned, not only do we have some regulatory things that the IRB is insisting that we do some training on, but we also have a protocol amendment in progress, and we'll give you updates on that. Part of the protocol amendment will be extending some of the visit windows so that it's a little bit easier for you guys to get patients in at the right windows without having sort of minor protocol deviations to file. We will be extending the window of recruitment from the time of the first anti-TNF administration from the current 5 weeks to 6 weeks, and a couple other little things that hopefully will make your lives a little bit more straightforward, and want to provide you with a firsthand series of updates in that regard. So please do attend in person if you're able to, but if not, know that it is mandatory, and we will offer multiple viewing opportunities after the community conference. If others at your site will be there. They are welcome to and encouraged to attend the Combine meeting as well. We are labeling it a investigator coordinator meeting, but anyone at your site who is somewhat involved with Combine, and we've mentioned many times that this is a team effort, anyone from your site is welcome to join. There will be lunch in the room. So please bring other team members as well. If you're planning on bringing a large team, that's awesome. Just send one of us a quick note so that we can make sure there is enough food in the room. All right, I think that's all I have. We've got a couple minutes left if there's any sort of questions or comments from our teams. Otherwise, we can end a few minutes early.
I have one thing, Mike. Shoot. So in true spirit of ICN, I would invite all the sites, if they have any specific things that they want to find out about at the community conference, please send an email out to us, and we'll make sure that we include that in our packet of information that we are going to share at the community conference. So if you guys have a question, if you guys have an idea that you want to bring up at the community conference meeting, please do let us know so that we can share that and we can all learn together from this process.
Any other last minute thoughts, comments, suggestions? All right, well, have a good rest of week, and we will see you later this month. Thanks, everyone.